It's 8 o'clock and it's the big detecting show. And bear with me a moment because Facebook is doing my sodding head in and I'm losing it. Do you know what it does every week now, Adrian, without fail? Every week.
Advertises shoes to you?
No.
Oh.
Because I share it to so many places with the permission of their owners of them groups and such like. Because I do it to so many places, it's now telling me, it keeps basically kicking me from Facebook.
Oh, Book of Faces is being nasty. Good evening,
now it won't
everyone.
let me log back in again.
Good evening,
everybody.
Hello, Graham Dempsey, Digger Dawn, Stephen Brain, Philip Wills, Derek Sherwin, and all the other people in the chat who have just decided that there's a load of soot on telly, so they might as well watch this. So we can't promise anything, but we have got some good guests on tonight from over the water.
Some very nice guests as well.
Yes. God, my glasses.
Who we haven't bullied in any way, shape, or form, and we know them very well, and they are lovely. And out of the goodness of their hearts, they've come on the show tonight under no duress in any way, shape, or form.
Or bribe or
blackmail. I think that's right, wasn't it, Adrian? That's what we decided upon.
Yes, something like that. But yeah, you've been detecting this week, Dave, or last weekend?
No, I'm going out this weekend. I'm on a private dig. It's organised by the Ministry Detect. James Roberts kindly invited myself and Shane to participate, and Ricardo's coming as well. And we're going basically to a community. There's lots of different fields, and I'm not sure if they're all different owners of the different fields, sort of thing.
Right.
But all are there as participants. They're basically feeding us, watering us, etc., as well. And we're involving the community as much as we can. Obviously, they can come and have a play with our machines. James and what have you is going to give a bit of a talk and show the fines and what have you. I'll be taking my fines box up for him to use. It's looking like it's going to be not the little fines box, the big fines box.
Yeah, I was going to say there won't be much in the little one.
It's looking like it's going to be exceptional, and that's all the way up in Yorkshire.
Are you going to take your new?
Now, me and Adrian are beta testers for a new product. Now, we can't do anything other than go, here's the new product. We've both signed non-disclosure agreements, but we are testing said product. Well, I won't be testing said product. Shane will be testing said product. But and both were actually purchased as well. So because we wanted to test these, didn't we, Adrian? They did basically a discount for people who wanted to be a part of the beta testing. So yeah, we'll both be out this weekend utilising them. I don't know if Facebook's working here, because it's bloody asking. I'm going to knock Facebook out in a minute.
Philip Wills, yes, you've got one. Kevin Walsh, it's a banana. Yeah, it is a banana. We've got the carrot, we've got the banana. No one's called the MI4.
Well, I don't think it's a banana because I don't see it as yellow.
What?
I don't see it as banana coloured.
Well, I think orange on the screen.
It looks green. It looks green to me.
Green?
Yeah, like light green. I'm colourblind, by the way. But I know what a banana looks like, and it doesn't look like a banana.
That's what I like about the carrot and this is it's bright, and if you leave it in the field, hopefully from 100 yards you can see it, or something. So whereas other ones are a bit of a thing, but it is definitely yellow. Stephen Brain, yes, and that syncs to the legend as well, like the MI6 on the XP. So
you've already done that, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I've synced it, but the pinpointers are coming on a long way. Like when the multi-frequency came out a few years ago, I think pinpointers are getting more and more complicated. Let's hope the more they've got, the less that goes wrong, because it's technology, and there's other manufacturers who make them who have issues. Not so well-known manufacturers who've had issues because it's got so much stuff, but it's waterproof, and it's so far performing okay, but it's a beta test, so we can't say much. It's looking good, and I'm taking it out this weekend. I'm going out detecting tomorrow afternoon, Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, we'll see. And I'm going to take a non-digital machine, an analog machine, out on tomorrow, which multi-frequency is great. I'm going to stick to something old school, but it's not old school. It's about 3 years old. So see how I get on, because I still think there's plenty of time left for VLF. Plenty of time. Anyway, this is out this now. If you want to buy it in the shops, some idiot's written a review on the Routers Versa, which is a lovely machine. Which we might have some news on the Routers Versa. Might be Dave on the show in coming weeks, but we won't say too much about it.
Yes, we may. We may indeed. As we have met, I also want to give a thank you to Brian Goodsir Thompson as well. He put on a post on my wall yesterday for people who sorry, I've got Facebook reconnected, so I'm happy now. He's put on at my Facebook wall, basically asking people to answer a question, to which 2 people did straight away, and he's given away some what they called fibula stands, presentation stands, and his big detecting show key rings as well. So thank you very much. And he'll be with us in 2 weeks. And next week's show, the guest has unfortunately had to postpone. And instead of Ken, who was coming on, he'll be coming on in the very near future. We will have Greg from Spinks joining us instead.
Very good speaker, Greg.
Very
knowledgeable man. He was at Rodney Cook when they did the auctions and also the prize for the best find of the year, which I think totaled £10,000, didn't it, Dave? In the end,
I don't know. I was.
For all the winners, but yeah, and that was good because he phoned them up live at Rodney Cook over the PA system. It was quite funny. It was,
I missed that. I was being poorly, wasn't
I? Nick Berry, hello, Nick Berry. Yes, you were being. Yeah, you weren't great. All right, Nick, the legend, Nick Berry, who's a ventriloquist master of art, among other things.
I was watching Brassic last night. For anybody who's watched the U season of Brassic, I thought of Nick Berry straight away. Anyway, shall we bring on tonight's guests? One of them who's being very, very ignorant at the moment.
Hey,
look at him with his back turned to us and everything.
He's looking at some old show.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Dave and Adrian, how you guys doing? Good?
All right. Firstly, thank you both for coming on the show. And there was no bullying or any other bribery or corruption involved in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
no, definitely not.
Yep, everything's on the up and up.
Yeah.
What time is it out there for you?
2 p.m. here.
Noon for me.
What about you, Dave?
8:15 p.m.
Quarter to 8 for me. So
yeah.
Dave lives up north. I live down south. I'm not far from London, and he lives up near Scotland, Birmingham, and all those other places. So,
where they have proper beer, you know the ones.
You might have trouble understanding, Dave. Not me, but you'll have trouble.
I'm not the Cockney. You're the Cockney.
I'm not a Cockney.
I've knew Tim and George for a long time now, and they've always understood me allegedly.
Politely.
Kind of sounds like Digger Dawn.
Yeah.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of her.
That's the one we can't understand is Digger Dawn. We have to every sentence has to be repeated at least once out of her mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when she's drunk. Which
we're the same with her, to be honest.
We could tell the story about how Digger Dawn drank hand wash.
We always tell that story, to be honest. Always.
Yeah. We won't go into it again, but she didn't drink it on purpose. She accidentally put a cup under an automatic dispenser for hand gel, alcohol gel, and it filled up a drink all throughout the day, and she drank it. So she was a lot
more and more creative.
Yeah.
To the point we found her, true story, in rubbish boxes behind the toilets.
Yeah.
True story.
That. Good deal.
Hi, Adrian. Adrian McStraw. Any chance of subtitles? I can't make either of you out. Well, that's probably because he's been drinking too much Guinness or something.
Yeah,
he's in Ireland.
Any chance of subtitles?
So we know who you are. Everyone in the detecting community does, but we might have some new people in the chat tonight who've joined us. Do you just want to both introduce yourselves and how you got into the hobby?
Go ahead, Tim.
All right. Well, we are KG and Ringy, King George and Ringmaster Tim from the TV show Diggers, which aired for 4 years on the National Geographic Channel. And then the next TV show was Digging with KG and Ringy on the Pursuit Channel, and that went for a couple of seasons. And so altogether, I think we did 88.
Wow.
I don't know, just under 90 TV shows all over. Diggers was filmed all in the United States and its territories, the Virgin Islands or whatever it is, St. Croix, we did a show there. And then the new show, which is, if you go to diggintv.com, you can go see those for free because we still own the rights to those. And they're filmed all over the world, right, Cage? Netherlands, Germany, Russia, Australia. Even England. We were in England.
Yeah, we love England. That's probably one of our all-time favorite spots to go. Even today, we still love coming to England and visiting you guys and hanging out over there. The laws are pretty nice in England. I really actually like how it's all set up.
Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a slight change. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Diggers actually aired worldwide, and I think it's on iTunes, and sometimes it's on Netflix and all that. So the original TV show was Diggers, and now it's just Digging with KG and the Ringmaster. So Yeah, we've been all over, so that's who we are.
And you recently came to England a few weeks ago, didn't you, or a month ago, with the Garrett team?
Yeah, we actually ran into Dave over there as usual, and he gave us nice gifts and everything. Everything was really cordial. There was no bullying or strong arming of any kind. But yeah, let's see if I can find this here. Yeah, that's not it. Oh, he gave me something. Or no, this one was this the one?
We're not talking about the clap, are we?
No.
No.
Oh, that's nice.
I got a nice first the last King of America coin. Yeah. While I was over there.
Hey, he thought you all messed up, Dave.
No, this is from Graham, the cleaning pencil guys, but they always have their tables sitting right next to each other.
Right.
You know, they're messing with each other all the time.
No, we're bros. Me and Graham, that's the only reason we go, so we can like sit next to each other.
Yeah.
He's a nice bloke, Graham. Have you got some of the cleaning pencil products? Is there anything like that in the States?
Well, I think they carry the same product at Digger's Den, and that's on the East Coast somewhere. So you can buy them here. If you go through them, they'll send them out to you. Or you can watch our podcast and get it for free because we give them away. Every time we go over there, Graham gives us a bag of them to take home and give away. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go KG. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I know you guys have been trying to get us on the show for a long time, and we apologize for not getting on here like 4, 5, 6 years ago, but you know, everything lined up this time, and here we are. I mean, you guys are awesome people, and I just wanted to say sorry you haven't been on here sooner, but now you got us, so you can do whatever you want with us.
Yeah,
dudes, we know how busy you are. We know how much you travel, and you know we do appreciate you coming on. And I don't bother you. I only contact you once a year, and that's when you're over here and say you're coming on the show. Yeah, but you always do. You always do a little interview for us. If it wasn't for yourselves, the very, very, very original format at Detectable 2018, we were originally working with Mike Hare from All Metal Mode, and if you remember, you robbed me phone, George, for 2 hours, and we're doing a live show. Excuse me. So it goes back now 5 years. But hell, it's not that long. Is it 28? Yeah, it was 2018. It goes back 5 years. So in effect, how well that went with with yourselves led on to the show being what it is today. So it's your fault.
Yeah, we get blamed for a lot of stuff. Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah, it was funny because when Diggers first came out, it was funny. There wasn't even a YouTube video out of metal detecting and stuff. And we were so into filming, we were so busy filming, and we were gone like 3 weeks. We'd come home 4 or 5 days. We'd be gone 3 weeks, that we didn't have enough time to play around with YouTube. So we kind of missed the YouTube boat. But now I guess you can find anything you want on YouTube. But yeah, we kind of spearheaded it all.
Yeah.
Well, as I said to you a few times, there was, over the past 10 years or so, the two booms in the UK metal detecting industry first came from, in the UK, it was called American Diggers. I don't know why. It was down to yourselves and then the Detectorist. So, you know, the boom in the industry in metal detecting in the UK, again, was your fault.
Yeah, our show aired worldwide. I mean, it was literally all over the world. In fact, we were talking with a couple of the Noctra people at Detectable, and they said our Diggers TV show was playing on Turkish Airways when they were flying to Detectable a few weeks ago. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, they can't escape. They can't escape us. And
So how long have you actually both been detecting? What got you into the hobby originally?
You want me to go with this?
Yeah,
Cage?
you go.
All right. Well, I started a little bit earlier than KG, and that was back when I still lived in Iowa. This is before I moved to Montana, and that's where I met KG. He was born and raised in Montana. I was born in Iowa, and then I moved to Montana for 14 years, and that's where this whole thing got rolling and everything. But preceding that, I was always like a coin nerd. You know, I'd take my little pennies and put them in the little books and collect them when I was a kid. And one day I saw somebody with a metal detector, and he was this other person I had met in town. And I just said, you can really tell what's under the ground with this? It was like some old White's machine. And he goes, yeah, there's a silver quarter under here. And, you know, this was an older machine, one of those boxy ones. And he gave me the shovel and he goes, dig it up. It'll be a silver quarter. And I was just stunned. I couldn't believe that he would know that and that was really possible. And so I dug it up, sure enough, silver quarter. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm saving up. I need a metal detector. And that's what started me. I only went for about, I'd say 3 months. I found my first few things and I was into it, but then, you know, I got into a rock band and that lasted 20 years and, you know, the guitars, women, that kind of thing took precedence.
Yeah. Everything that'll get you in serious trouble. Guitars and women.
Yeah,
and
that's what happened. I don't know, KG froze up. But so anyway, I went off in that direction. Then I moved to Montana and I met him and I found my old detector under the bed. And I thought, I'm just going to check my yard. And I found 2 or 3 silver dimes in it. And I thought, hey, this is cool. I'm going to get back into it. And long story short, I met KG and he's like, let's both get new detectors. And we got these Garrett GTI 2500s, the green ones that talk to you. And they said,
they were cool.
no, there's a quarter at 3 inches deep. The girl's voice would tell you what was in the ground. It was pretty cool. And we started out there and, you know, it snowballed into us just inventing our own language and stuff just to make each other laugh. But we had no clue that we'd ever be on TV and that anybody else would ever use the language or any of that stuff. We were just trying to make each other laugh. Next
to which I still call out roundness in the hole. I still shout it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we said the dumbest things we could think of just to make each other laugh. And then here it became the industry vernacular. It still makes me laugh. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was actually born and raised in Montana. And Montana it's still kind of the Wild West, you know. I mean, we had Indians and we had mining and we had gold and silver and all that. And me being born and raised there, I always heard stories about these old timers during, you know, the Great Depression and stuff like that, how they hid their money all over the place. I talked to a couple old timers that were searching these old cabins out in the middle of nowhere in the Montana mountains. And one of them found an old cabin that had fallen over. It was an old log cabin. And there was a busted mason jar full of silver coins that must have been hidden in the eaves of the house. And when it fell over, this jar broke and spilled coins all over. Well, he was hunting elk or deer, and he come across this, and he's always telling me stories about money and these old places like that. And like I say, the Indian Wars happened all over Montana here and stuff like that. So it was a perfect fit when Tim came in for us to buy metal detectors and just go out and start hitting these old cabins, because I know Montana mountains like the back of my hand. So we went to old cabins, old campsite, old, you know, stuff like legally that we could go to. And we just started pulling out silver coins, and it was just amazing. So nobody had a DVD out there. Nobody had a YouTube video and that. And Tim was a computer programmer. So I told him, I said, we should just form a company and make DVDs. You know, maybe we could sell a DVD once in a while. And then we would joke around and say, could you imagine if somebody would pay us to metal detect? And then we'd start laughing and we'd say, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard, you know? and then so we made 3 DVDs. We ended up making 6 DVDs. And I used to work as a heavy equipment operator in a mine here in Montana. And every once in a while, Tim would call me and he'd say, hey, we just sold a DVD on Amazon. We just sold a DVD on eBay. And we would start laughing, thinking, oh, we're going to be huge one day, you know. And it was just so far-fetched, you know. And then all of a sudden, some lady called Tim. He might want to tell you the story about how we kind of got started.
Yeah, I was still writing code for an insurance company, And I'm sitting there, and we'd call each other during the day. You know, he was working at the mine 20 miles away from me, and I was working out of my house, and the phone rang, and this poor woman was on the phone and said, "Hey, we'd like to, you know, make a TV show out of you and George, you know." And of course, I just assumed that KG was setting me up and this was a joke. So I was giving her all kinds of problems for at least 5 minutes, you know, until she finally convinced me it was a legitimate call, you know. And like, I had blamed George for it. I thought he was just trying to get me going and stuff. And the poor woman was like almost exasperated, you know. And so finally she's like, "What do I have to do to convince you this is legitimate? Like, we're going to send some people out with cameras." And they filmed a little teaser reel, sold it to National Geographic, and then we made the 2 pilot shows, and it just exploded from there, you know.
Did you keep your jobs, or did you sort of?
Well, weirdly enough, we were working in completely different places, obviously, but both of our companies gave us 6 month a 6 month leave of absence, you know, which was almost unheard of. And they said, "Yeah, go ahead and film your season 1, and when it's all done, you can come back to work." And we did that, and of course they renewed it for 4 years, and it kept going. We ended up making 60 some shows, so we ended up never going back to work after that. But we had that little buffer, at least, to see if it was a success, which it turned out to be. And the funny thing is my boss kept me on because he wanted me to come back to work for him, and he never took me off the books or whatever. And one day, like 3 years after the show had been running, you know, I hadn't written a line of code for 3 or 4 years. He calls me up and he goes, "Hey, Tim." And I'm like, you know, I couldn't believe he was even calling me. He goes, I got some bad news. HR called me and they're forcing me to take you off the books, so you're fired.
Yeah.
What about you, KG? Is that the same for you?
Pretty much. Like, I worked in the mines, and I mean, it's a Fortune 500 company. I mean, multi-million-dollar company. But the vice president of the whole company, he liked me. I didn't really know him, but I explained to him what I was doing, and I was a fill-in foreman, a boss. So I had an office every once in a while that when I was fill-in, I would go sit in the office across from his office. He'd come in and start talking to me, and I started telling him about, you know, our adventures and metal detecting and all that. So when it came out that, you know, we needed to take some time off and go film season 1, because you never know if there's a season 2 or 3 or 4 ever, you know, you'll learn that later. Well, he did the same thing. He gave me a 6 month leave of absence. He goes, "You just come back." He goes, "You'll walk right into the same job." He goes, "I like you. I like, you know, you're a good worker and stuff." He said, "I wouldn't normally do that, but I'm going to do that with you." Well, we did it. We went out and we filmed. And like I say, I had 2 teenage girls at home. My wife was running an emergency room in a hospital in my local town. So it was extremely hard, you know, but we went out, we filmed our show. And then I remember I came back to work because we didn't know if we were going to get a season 2 yet. And I remember being at work for 2 weeks and I almost wanted to cry. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to metal detect. And then we got the call that we got a season 2 and then a season 3 and then a season 4. And then it was like all paid vacation after that.
Yeah, it is a dream, isn't it? Come true, to be paid
it is,
to
really,
do your hobby. I think.
Every time we get on an airplane together, it's just like we look at each other. It's like it's been since 2011 or something. It's been, I mean, over a decade of flying around the world, and it's like I just can't believe that this happened to us. You know, we realize that we're 2 of the luckiest idiots on the planet, you know.
Right.
How do you your detectors go with you as hand luggage, or do they go in the hold with other luggage?
You know, a lot of times we'll take the brains off of them and we'll carry on the brain and then pack the rest away. And then sometimes I'll just pack it all away. We never ever have any troubles. Every once in a while they'll look at it and say, you know, what's this? Tell them it's a metal detector, but we have never had an issue traveling overseas with them, you know. Most of the time, like I say, I tell people to take the brain off. If nothing else, you can always like duct tape it to a stick to the coil, and you're still going to have a machine when you get there. Yeah.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Dave saw a guy at Detectable a few years ago, didn't we? You
We
had a
did.
stick.
We did. He had a
with a
Deus
coil
on a
plate.
stick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Deus on a
I
stick.
think I
yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
There was somebody had a stick detector in England when we were there. I don't know when this was or where it was.
I think that was 2019 detectable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dang.
Could have been.
Actually,
Yeah, but a lot of
surprised-
times we'll travel with a couple machines too, a lot, because I don't want to get all the way over to England or France or Italy or something when we're doing an event over there and then have one of my machines, take a poop. But a lot of times they have the dealers in the country. If we have an issue, we can always get one from the dealer.
Yeah. What's the most remote place you've been with the show, or otherwise?
Probably Australia, huh, Tim? We went up to Queensland in Australia, and we went up into the gold fields up there, and it was pretty remote up there. Luckily, it was wintertime, and a lot of the nasty spiders and snakes were hibernating, so it wasn't too bad. But that was probably, unless you can think of one further.
No, I mean, I can think of places that were a lot more miserable, but you know what I mean?
Oh.
We
were in West Virginia one time, and it was about 100 degrees. There was deadly or dangerous spiders, rattlesnakes, timber rattlers, and water moccasins all over the place. And it was miserable. All we were doing is looking for a machine gun nest where they had a war during the old mining times, and that was the worst miserable week that we've ever had. We were covered in bites. We were like almost bitten by snakes and
so
stuff.
hot. Yeah.
That was probably the worst, and we hated that shoot more than any other shoot, and it probably turned out to be one of the best ones when it was all done.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually want to go away and watch the American Diggers series back to back. Like I had done several times, but I don't think you can find it in the UK now.
It's on.
He did play it for.
I know it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know if that's a worldwide thing or if that's just US.
I've looked on the English one and I couldn't. Well, it wasn't under American Diggers anyway. I'll look again as we speak.
Oh, but it's not American Diggers.
It's not American. Yeah.
It's just Diggers.
Right. Okay.
But you were saying American Diggers might have been what they named it in a different country.
Yeah, that was what it was called in the UK. Yeah.
Okay.
I've got stuff about Flip of the Dig. Oh, there's Peppa Pig. That's not it.
No.
Yeah,
that's certainly not it.
A lot of like American Diggers.
She's nice.
It was a show over here, and it was that old wrestler that found stuff in the rivers and stuff, and he used to say "boom, baby" all the time. That was American Diggers. We were just the Diggers, our Diggers. So a lot of people got that confused.
Yeah, there was. I think
I can't show you that picture.
I can't remember how that all played out, but I remember they had an issue with Butch's magazine because it's called American Digger Magazine, and they ended up having a legal battle or something. And I don't know how that turned out.
So obviously you both use Garrett machines at the moment, and you had a GTI. I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of my favourite machines because in its day, a detector that talks to you. Now we've got all this AI and everything going on multi-frequency, but I know they'd probably not work now if it'd all go pear-shaped. But have you still got those old machines? Do you keep your old machines?
Yeah,
I do.
I got mine. It looks like it's been ran over.
Just because. Yeah, you wouldn't even know what it was if you saw George's because it's just all duct taped together. Mine is still in pretty good shape, but my original White's machine, I think it was the Coin Master 3000D. It was a blue box, with a white coil. We were using that to film some dumb stunt we were doing long before the TV show when we were making those DVDs that George was telling you about. Extreme Metal Detecting 1, it was. And I was hanging off a cliff or something, and I had that with me, and I threw it down to George, and when he caught it, it was so far down that it snapped in half.
Oh,
God. I actually still have that detector in the garage somewhere,
Yeah. Well,
I was just reading then, and I put Diggers on a search, And it's come up one of the questions, why was Diggers cancelled? Now, I'll ask you this, but it's saying on Google because it introduced a culture of looting. That's why it was cancelled.
No, you know what? I could tell you a little story on why it was canceled, because I don't really care now. Back then I would have. Well, National Geographic, half of National Geographic is the magazine, which is the society. Well, the TV funds the magazine, and the magazine is basically ran by archaeologists. And they would have screaming matches in the office in Washington, D.C. about our TV show. And the people that ran the TV show, they said, these guys are awesome. They're making Net Geo a lot of money, and our money funds your magazine and all that. So they just fought off the archaeology side of it for a long time. Well, then Fox Network come in and it bought National Geographic, and they fired all the head execs. So they decided they were done fighting over our TV show, so they just didn't renew it.
Yeah, they just no longer wanted to have the traditional battle between archaeology and metal detectorists, where, you know, George, you'll laugh because I say this all the time. You know, if you know what a bell curve is, and you got the normal middle sector of people that can think logically and use common sense, and then you got the two ends of archaeology madmen that say no, nothing should ever be dug up ever, and then the other end where you're mass looters, which are the tiny fractions, you know, and these fractions are fighting each other, where all the people in the middle, where you have kind of like England, I always thought of as people in the middle, because they seem to work together. You know, you allow metal detecting, and it helps everybody because you find something cool like a Viking hoard, and then the museum benefits, everybody gets to see it and learn about something, and it all kind of works. But you take that away, and then you're going to have looting, because people aren't going to stop trying to find treasure. And you know, and then you'd have your archaeologists that on the far radical side that don't want any of us doing any kind of digging, because that's how they make their living. They want somebody to pay them to go out and do it, whereas we do it for the love of it because we just like history, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Don't get
I'll
us
probably
wrong.
get a bunch of letters and stuff, but
no,
it's
I'll
that simple.
Right now.
You know,
I got your back.
I just think, how about you?
Don't get us wrong, Tim.
What?
I was gonna say, don't get us wrong. There's definitely 100% place for archaeology. We're not bashing archaeology. They need archaeologists out there, you know. But some of the sites, there will never ever be an archaeological dig and stuff like that. And it's cool because some of the biggest discoveries in the world were someone with a metal detector, and then they could come in and do a proper dig with archaeology and stuff like that. We did a show here in the U.S. It was the Hatfield and McCoy feud. It was everybody probably heard about the Hatfield and McCoy feud a long time ago. You know, two families fighting each other. Well, we got to go out there and search for Randall McCoy's cabin site. Nobody ever knew where it was. They knew where the well was. Well, Tim and I, during one of our digger shows, we went out there and we actually located the house site, Randall McCoy's house site. And as soon as we knew it was the house site, we called the Kentucky State Archaeology Committee, and they came up there, and for 4 or 5 years they did a proper archaeological dig on this foundation, you know. So that was cool to be a part of. So
they had students out there doing digs and teaching them how to do things properly, and it was a win-win for everybody. And that's what I'm talking about. If you take some two radical ends out, you know, you don't want people storming onto Gettysburg and just digging it up willy-nilly, you know, and if you just go into the middle, and there you go, you cooperate and get some stuff done, you know.
You know how you both like the good old British humor?
What's that?
Yeah.
Just at the right time, then. You know how you both like the good old British humor?
Oh.
So Will Way said, by the way, KG, I thought you were awesome when you sang with the Sunshine Band.
A lot of people think I look like Woody Harrelson, so I get that a lot.
Oh, he's on about Casey and the Sunshine Band, isn't he? Woody Harrelson, mint.
Yeah.
Rob Stiver said you have when you were talking about Montana before, you said you have Hannah Montana as well.
Gareth Howard's one. Gareth Howard.
Chris Langston says, gotta like Tim's love of birding. He's got a lovely collection of British tits. Will Way said, Tim, do you prefer clowns or trapeze artists when you're ringmastering?
Well, my wife's afraid of clowns, so
aren't we all? Aren't we all? Oh, Stephen King.
We are now.
Dave, Gareth Howard's one's quite good. He was obviously trying to search for the show on the internet, and he's put, I've just tried to search for it and accidentally misspelt it. I've now just subscribed to a website that says it will not show up on my bank statement.
That'll be that Doggers one, will it?
Yeah. That Gareth's obviously used to those sort of comments on websites, but yeah, Gareth's a regular on the show. Quite often we have a part in the show where someone goes into his mother's loft and we have to guess who it is. Normally a detecting person. Did you call loft? Yeah, loft's a universal name, isn't it?
Attic space. Attic.
Attic. Yeah, attic. We call it a loft. Yeah. So, but yeah,
so
we quite
who's in Gareth's parents' loft?
Yeah, we have a nice 1970s picture flashing. But yes, what I was going to ask a question. Out of interest, did you both like history at school?
I hated it.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
I liked
it. Didn't seem real. It didn't seem real to me. It's kind of like, well, what do I care about Romans or civil wars and all that? And then once you started doing it and you're holding it in your hand, it just took a whole new perspective. Now I just love it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I didn't really like school anyway, but I didn't enjoy history. But I think that was predominantly down to the teacher. But now I can't get enough of it. And like you say, YouTube and places is a wealth, and books. There's so much stuff.
I keep finding myself doing my son's history, or at least telling him what to say in history.
Yeah.
I was lucky on Monday night where myself and my son, we actually did a talk for a scout troop on metal detecting, and it was so well received. That's the word I'm looking to by them. They've asked us, would we be able to put a event on where we take the scouts detecting? So we're currently looking for a site. We think we've got something, and then myself and Shane, who I go detecting with, and Rick, Steve, etc., we've got a bunch of machines let the scouts use. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It is a thing, no doubt, you guys doing the show and being all over the world. The amount of people who stumble across either your show or talking to me or Dave about the hobby, and when you start showing them what you find and the history and the technology of detectors, because a lot of people think, it is literally just goes beep, 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 and that's it. And you just dig a hole and it's a tin can and when you start explaining about you've got different programs, you can discriminate stuff, and they're like, wow, that's really complicated, and amazing. And Dave's not the most technical with machines, but he has a bit of trouble. Anything more than 2 displays, he gets lost. But
I'll either shouting Shane or ringing Adrian.
Yeah, the hobby has grown hugely since COVID, because lockdown, everyone was stuck at home, and you'd go for a walk, and detecting in the UK was banned in COVID, but you're allowed to go fishing or shooting. But finally it was lifted, but it's gone crazy over here, and the Detectorists TV show as well has caused it to grow.
Great show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, it's cool, like, and sometimes, a lot of the older guys, they don't like competition and stuff, and none of us really do. But, it's really neat to see the wave that's kind of started with metal detecting and all that, in a good way, too. I mean, there's a lot of, Tim and I work a lot with, like, law enforcement, and we work a lot with military. And it's amazing the amount of military people, like with PTSD and stuff like that metal detect over here that got started, by our show or watching you guys or whatever. And they said something about the sounds of a metal detector and just being out there, it calms them. So, and we used to think it was just a fluke, but we have gotten like hundreds of messages from military people and law enforcement people and stuff like that metal detect now.
Yeah,
yeah, same here.
It sounds kind of ridiculous almost, but people have actually said, you've saved our lives. Your show saved my life. They've literally said that to us, and they were, like in tears as they said it. I mean, and we just, like George said, we thought it was, that's an odd coincidence that 2 or 3 people said this. And now over the years, it's like we get notes all the time about that. It's just a crazy phenomenon that we never expected, And the other thing we never expected was all the kids, getting the kids outside and in the fresh air and getting them involved, That was a benefit of the show too, because we're a little bit goofy. And, kids were just addicted to the show because they were kind of learning history without realizing they were learning history, because, KG would jump off and twist his ankle and do something stupid, and, they'd get a laugh out of it. So,
right.
The last time you were actually on the show, Tim, you were in a video for Chris Langston for his metal detecting holidays, and you were definitely goofy that night.
Was I?
Hello?
No recollection of this whatsoever.
It might not have been you, just might have been a close relative that you've obviously not seen for a few years, or locked in the attic.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually working on a video right now for the couple of weeks we were in England, and yeah, there might be an appearance of a couple of people, that look similar to me.
Did you have any nice finds come up when you were over here?
Yeah. Actually, one of our
George did.
Yeah. We all had some pretty cool stuff come up. I don't know, my luckiest times have always been England, and this trip was no exception. I only found one hammered silver coin, but it happened to be an awesome example of a Tilby penny.
Wow. Crikey.
A good one, centered and everything, So
yeah,
that
like
was
metal
my
detecting
find.
overseas kind of ruined us in the U.S. I mean, we still like the Civil War. We always like to find a silver coin and stuff, but sometimes I'll get a call like, "Hey, you want to go out metal detecting? I got a cool yard over here," and I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to spend a half a day to find a wheat penny from 1920. Now I'm kind of spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But you had a bit of a fascinating find yourself, didn't you, at Rodney Cook?
Who found something at Rodney Cook?
George did.
What was it?
The gold tooth.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the gold tooth. Yeah. I knew. I was like, wait, what did I find? It was so weird because I found like 16 and 1700 stuff and a little hammer coin and stuff like that. And then I pulled that little piece of gold out and I was just cleaning it off and like, man, this is gold. What the? And I stared at that thing for 5 minutes before I realized it was like a gold crown off someone's tooth. It's like, how did that get there? Now I'm like driving myself nuts, wondering how that tooth got there. I'm thinking maybe the ranchers went at it. Yeah.
Decomposed
cool
body.
find.
Yeah.
No,
that's nice.
I took it out of the head and put the head back.
Yeah. Well, you can use the skull for Halloween. That's coming up soon.
Yeah.
The head's on his wall.
Yeah. We've had a few questions, and I think we've missed them for you guys. But one of them was from someone. I've forgotten who it was. What are your favourite Garrett machines to use? I think that's what the question was.
Okay. Well, right now we're both using the AT Max. That's the one we live and die with. But if I'm on a saltwater beach, I always take an Apex with me because it's the multi-frequency one, and it just it's not as jumpy and noisy on the saltwater beaches. But the AT Max is what we always take with us, and that's what we've made most of our bigger finds. The gold ring, the axe head, all that kind of stuff was found with the AT Max.
Yeah, a lot of when we started, we used the AT Pro obviously for Digger's show. Season 1, we used the AT Pro all the time, but then after that, we started using the AT Gold because it was a little bit faster and it had a different sound. And then we got hooked on that machine, so we used that AT Gold almost all the way through our Digger shows. And then they come out with the AT Max, and the AT Max sounds a lot like the AT Gold. So it was easy to transition into the AT Max. So yeah, that's 99% of my use is the Max right now.
Yeah. And the Max is really kind of a combination of the Pro and the Gold stuck into one machine, and it's just got a little bit more options, and it's a lot hotter. So it can be a little bit more noisy, but once you get used to it, just like any machine out there, it doesn't matter who made it. Once you get used to the little subtleties of it, then you start to really, tear it up with it.
I actually found a photograph on Amazon.
Right, KG?
Photos. Yeah. The Amazon photo iCloudy type thing. I didn't even know I had it until yesterday. And there was some backed up images, and it found my first machine from 14 years ago when I come back into metal detecting as a hobby properly. And it was a Garrett Ace Freedom 3.
250? 350?
No.
Ace
A Garrett Ace Freedom. It's digital. Not the Ace 300. It's analog.
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yeah. I'll just find a picture of it and put it on Facebook.
Freedom Ace Plus.
Huh.
Yes, that's it.
Ace.
Wow. I can't even picture what that would look like.
Yeah, green. Yeah, I've just got a picture of it actually. Wow, it's $165. Someone's selling it on eBay, Dave.
Oh yeah. No, it wasn't that one. It wasn't that thing. I'm sure it was a Freedom 3. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves a minute.
He's trying to find that. Yeah, because when the Apex came out, that was I had one for field test for the magazine, and I'll be honest, there was a few issues with the coil because I had one of the early ones, and Regton's over here in the UK swapped it out straight away, and it was fine. But such a I'd say it's one of the best displays on a detector. Clear, precise, big screen, absolutely beautiful. Great for a beginner or intermediate detectorist, or a lot of people. Rob Random, who's in the chat, he's got a Garrett Apex. And I'm just hoping soon that Garrett bring out a pro version of the Apex or something. I don't know.
Nice.
We'll see.
There you go.
Ooh.
That's the one.
Oh,
Garrett Freedom 3.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that is an oldie.
Look at that.
Funny.
I honestly have no idea what happened to that either.
You better buy that, Dave.
How much is it?
100
I always kind of wanted to get one of them really ancient
110.
machines and go out and try to find some stuff with it.
Yeah, to see if it works. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think how you have classic car rallies and sort of things at weekends, I think an organizer of an event in the UK should do a retro detecting dig. So any machine.
I think Just Detect actually did a field with retro machines this year.
Oh, did they? Sort of pre-90s detectors.
Yeah.
And the predominantly will be Garrett's and White's, I think, and C-Scope, the British brand. Yeah. And because I'm still a strong believer in single frequency machines. I still think they've got their place in the hobby. Multi-frequency and everything is good, but it does have its ups and downs. But I'd be surprised what came up with people with old machines, because they're still good, and they're becoming collectible now as well, aren't they, Dave? People are buying them up.
They are.
Well, the thing is, the old timers, 1960s, 70s, those people that were all before us detecting, that's all they had to use, and because they were forced to use that, they learned it. They learned the little subtleties of it too, and that's how the guy I ran into originally knew that was a silver coin instead of just a regular quarter, he heard something or saw something. It had one of those little needles on it, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's I think the way we are today is we buy a detector, we have it for 2 or 3 years or less. Manufacturer brings out another one, and we buy the next new one. And no one, whereas in the 70s and 80s, they were a lot of money compared to today.
right.
And it wasn't the sort of thing like cars then.
Yeah.
People used to look after them and keep them. And like you say, Ringy, the people just learnt their machines over 5-10 years. And I think that's probably one of the problems. Dealers aren't, and manufacturers aren't like me saying this, but people don't hold on to their machines. They upgrade a lot more. But then we need that to keep the hobby going and
Yeah.
Right.
new developments in technology. Do you
If anybody does have one of them Garrett Freedom 3 machines and they want to get rid of it, give me a shout.
And we've got Mike Mike. He just found an old bounty hunter in his whilst cleaning his shed.
But it was called Dog.
Oh, dog. Evil dog, bounty hunter. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of detectors in the UK in people's sheds and up people's lofts. Same as air rifles and things like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We should have
I think they don't use
Dave.
them long enough, and then they just get frustrated. I like that idea. Competition of like 20 years or older machines.
Yeah.
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 If you had it be part of like Detectable or Rodney Cook or any of those, you could just have like one seated hunt or one field that was only for old detectors, you know?
Yeah. And you've got a dress in the year of your machine. So if it's 1977, you got to wear a muscle vest and flares.
Yeah. Well,
Is that what's that?
That's me.
C-scope?
Late 1970s C-scope 600 series. Still works.
oh, wow.
That was probably £100 then. Yeah.
That was my dad gave me his, and somebody stole it. So somebody kindly, Alex Savage, detectorist in the UK, kindly gave me that one as a replacement,
Nice.
just for the memories of my dad.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very
that's
nice.
cool.
So what's the plans for you guys going forward? Have you got anything up your sleeves that you're going to be doing in the next 6 months or a year?
Yeah, we're going to Arkansas next week for 7 days, and then we're headed to the Netherlands to go with Koester out there. They're having an event.
Wow,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah. The
One day, Adrian, me and you might get invited to events like that.
We might get a day trip to France. That'd be about it. But yeah.
Jump with Gary Blackwell on a minibus.
Yeah, no, that's what we have coming up. That thing, and it's right in the middle of November. The Garrett contest that's in it's North Amsterdam, almost to the border of Germany.
Look, Dick Dawn and Chris Langston are going with them, Adrian. Ooh.
Oh, are they going? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they've just put in there.
I'm surprised Dawn's going because Sorry.
I was going to say that there's a gal from the U.S. going over, Gypsy Jewel. She's got a little YouTube channel. She's been on TV a few times, so she'll be there.
I regularly speak to Gypsy, and again, she's got, like yourselves and Bo, it's always difficult for her to actually come on the show and speak to us because obviously time and what have you, and the work that you do elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about our schedule basically till the end of the year there. But as far as what we have up our sleeves with Team Garrett and everything, we have been talking about new technology, as everybody does. You were saying a lot of companies keep coming out with new machines over and over and over. And the Garrett is definitely not done. They're not stopping with the AT Max or the Apex. There's something coming down the pipe. So
I knew it. We said this, didn't we, Dave? I can feel something coming. I can feel something
coming. That's all we can say.
It's not like there's going to be some big announcement coming right up or anything. But, you know, they never tell us anything anyway, because nobody trusts us. You know, we're very untrusted, you know. But that being said, I know that they're specifically working on certain things, because that's half the reason we're in England hunting and doing the stuff we do. I mean, yeah, we meet people, we shake hands and stuff, but we also detect as hard as we can and try to find out what we need for the next product. So, you know, I've sent in our status report and stuff.
So that beer can holder that you've been on about for years is coming.
Yeah.
That should be attached to the headphones, you know, on one side, and then with a straw that comes down.
Ooh. That is I'd buy it. Don't care about the machine. Don't care about the machine.
Of all the people in all the world, Adrian, would you believe that Rob Random said that he'd like to detect in Amsterdam? I wouldn't have put that on him. I wouldn't have thought it.
I just wonder why he'd like that.
Doesn't see the type.
Gary Smith. Hi, Gary. He's in the chat.
Gary, my man.
Yeah. He's lockdown competitions. I won £100 on that the other week. Fantastic.
Nice.
I haven't won for ages.
And
I never win anything.
You have won a lot of things off there, Dave. Lockdown, and everyone I seem to speak to seems to win. Whether it's a gold bar or a new machine, they all do really well. And he did a great thing with you guys at Rodney Cook, didn't he? Where you actually. I don't know if you want to explain for those who don't know.
We had lockdown competitions is that thing where you can, like you said, you can win gold, you can win detectors, all kinds of stuff. And his company set something up where KG and I, all we could use was a handheld pro pointer, you know, the Garrett Carrot. We didn't have another detector, and there were 15 tokens in this little field, and each token was worth 1,000. Was it? No, 100 pounds.
100 pounds.
100 pounds each. Yeah.
No,
so anyway, he let us go, and this is all to raise money for cancer for Rodney Cook, you know. And so his company said, go for it. And George and I went out and found as many as we could. And I think we got 13 or 14.
14 by the 1 minute.
Yeah, by the minute. And then we got an extra bonus 30 seconds or something. And KG found the last one. So we got the full 1,500 pounds. They donated it off there. So
well done. Well done.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of stinging nettle and stuff all over my knees, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
We've actually, talking of Rodney Cook, we've got Gary Cook on the show next week to announce the final sum that's been made this year for cancer. And
yes, and it's the live show, and he's doing the announcement on the Big Detective show before he goes and tells everybody else on social media. So we do appreciate that.
I think it will be the largest amount raised by metal detecting for a charity in Europe, possibly the world. Last year was 83,000 in a weekend and a few day digs. And this year it's going to be a lot more. I won a Knox 800. Dave's holding up. Yes, he did. He won some machines.
No. Gary Smith keeps bothering me because I keep forgetting for about the past 2 years to actually send a picture of myself with one of the prizes. So I've just sent him a picture of myself with the prizes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I was just talking to him this morning too. Well, this morning for me, it was probably, 6 o'clock for you guys.
Yeah.
Will you guys be coming over here next year?
We always
more than likely, yes. I would say,
so I'm assuming we will be. Hopefully, it'll be with a new stick in our hands.
How do the female ringmaster and KG feel about you not being at home as much as you want?
That. Yeah.
Well, it was when we were filming the show and we were on the road for 3 weeks and we come home to do our laundry and leave for the next 3 weeks. It was really, really difficult. But after that, I mean, the schedule we have now, it's not a problem at all because we're not on the road 100% of the time. It's generally the spring and the fall, because that's obviously when you guys have your events and it's the best weather and all that, and the fields are open. So I mean, back then we were filming year round, and you know, if it was snowing up north, we'd be in St. Croix on an island filming. So we never took a break, and it was 4 hard years of stuff that, I mean, I can't even describe how difficult it was, you know. And people think, oh, they have the life, you know, but yeah, it was pretty difficult. But now,
yeah, it was definitely hard. Definitely hard.
A lot better. I mean, we wouldn't trade it for anything, because all this stuff we got to see and learn, and it was an amazing experience. But it wasn't as easy as it looks on TV. You know what I mean? You know, for those 20 minutes of a show, we had, you know, weeks of pre-production setup, and then we'd film for a whole week and dig 7 days just trying to get enough to make a 20-minute show. And then there's a month of post-production where they put it all together, and we do VOs and pickup lines. And I mean, it was amazing what went into one half-an-hour show. And so, yeah, that was,
because
catch your breath.
Our shows were 100% real. What we found, we actually found out there. You know, we didn't fake anything. We may have taken stuff and moved it for camera's sake. We might, you know, when we first started, they tried to film us constantly. They'd follow us around, and we're like, if you don't give us time, we're not going to find anything, because they wanted to film every hole. What's coming out? So finally they started having the camera set back, turn us loose for about 2 or 3 hours. And then once we started finding stuff, then the cameras would come out, and then we would film it. Sometimes we would put them in the hole. Sometimes the light wasn't right. We'd have to move it to a different location and film it where it was better lighting for the high def cameras and stuff like that. But it would have been a lot easier if we could have put stuff in the holes once in a while, but we never did. And that made it brutal, but it made it real.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember.
Did you, sorry.
I was just going to say one specific thing. I found some cool button or something up in Maine. It was a show in Maine, and I happened to find it in a corner where the fence went together. And so you got 2 camera guys, and they have to film from a certain angle. And so I had to pick it up real quick while I was still excited about it, and run over to the middle of the yard and dig a hole where I could re-find it, kind of, you know, while I still had the energy going. But I just remember thinking, yeah, I found it, but it's like actually going to come out of a different hole on TV now, you know, because I had to move it 20 feet so that the guys could shoot, you know.
Yeah, you don't think of that, but yeah, it's all part of filming, isn't it? Did you have any scary or any dangerous moments? I know you spoke about sort of rattlesnakes and things like that, but did you ever get anyone who sort of came over and said, "What the hell are you doing here?" or anything?
Oh. Well, back in Montana.
Well, we were in Wyoming. We had rattlesnakes everywhere. A couple times we almost got bit by rattlesnakes. But a lot of the most dangerous stuff we did was we had bet payoffs at the end. And then one time Tim lost, so we were filming this like Jean Lafitte. It was an old pirate episode. So the loser literally had to walk the plank into the ocean off this old time pirate ship. Well, Tim lost, so he walked out, fell into the water, but it was a big paddle wheel thing. And they kept like following him, trying to film him and stuff, but he was sucking him towards the big paddle in the back. And he was literally, I mean, his eyes were like saucers. He literally thought he was dead, and he spent all of his energy trying to stay away from it. And finally, he got close enough to the boat. I hung over the side of the boat, and we grabbed hands, and I ended up pulling him over the boat, and I got him up in there. And he's just like, that was the nicest he's ever been to me. He's like, thanks, you saved my life. Yeah.
He did. He literally saved my life. Yeah, yeah.
Adrian, I don't think I could actually see you being able to pull me out the water somehow.
No, I was going to say,
you just leave me.
It'd have
Put
to
your head on me.
Yeah, I'd have trouble. I'd break my arm, Dave.
We just had to throw a rope around Dave's neck, keep him from the wheel, but we might have hung him.
Just drag him.
Yeah, we could hold on to Dave long. We could hold on to him long enough to tie a toe tag to him with his name on it.
And cut him loose. Yeah.
No, that's interesting, and I just think because you've but you're friends originally, but through the hobby
Yeah.
now, it's made you even closer. Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
got friends or family members who've also taken up the hobby, or do they think you're just as nuts as all us lot?
Most of them
Most of them
think we're kind of half crazy anyway. I mean, it probably has nothing to do with metal detecting, but you know, but there's like when our kids were real little and they hung out together, we take them with us against their will sometimes, but sometimes they would get into it and they'd find something here or there, but it never became a obsession like it was with us, you know. But speaking of family members, I have to tell this real quick little story about my mom. She still to this day, like when she introduces people, like when George is around, she'll be like, "Oh, and here, I want you to meet KG. This is King George. He's from, you know, National Geographic's TV's Diggers, and he's my favorite TV actor."
Yeah.
It's
Do
pretty
you
hard.
both get recognised when you go shopping?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, we used to, especially when we're together because the context is there. And so when we were doing the show and going through airports and stuff, it would happen constantly, you know. And we'd start laughing at each other because we'd look at each other, we'd be having a sandwich or something, and you could tell somebody was looking at us, like they'd be staring at you. And it's like we'd make little bets about how long it would take before they were going to come up to the table and ask us who we were, you know, and stuff. But yeah, not so much.
Sorry, I was going to say, we were in the airport. I was in the airport one time, and I was standing in this food line, and this guy right in front of me, he turned around and he saw me, and his eyes got really big, and he just started freaking out, like, "You're KG, you're that guy from that TV show Diggers," and this. So he yells all the way across like the airport lobby at his wife, and finally his wife comes muttering over there, and she looks at me, and he goes, "This is KG. This is that guy from that TV show I watch all the time. Yeah, that's him right there." She goes, "I don't like TV," and she turns around and walks off. And I thought,
well, I thought you were fantastic in Zombieland.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was my favorite movie he ever did.
Steve Pettican asks, Stephen Brame asks, where is the most bizarre place that you've detected?
Oh, we did a Trans-Allegheny lunatic asylum. This was a lunatic asylum in West Virginia where, you know, they would take mentally challenged people, if that's politically correct anymore to say. But anyway, they would take them there and they would literally test people, and they did shock therapy and they did all this weird stuff to these people. But now it's abandoned. It's just a massive, massive medical facility, but it's supposedly haunted and all that. So we did a show.
I remember this episode, yeah.
Yeah, but we actually got to go in there because a lot of they had a guy, he was they called him the kleptomaniac or something. He was an inmate that would sneak into people's room and he would steal like spoons and forks and little figurines, and then he would hide them out in the yard, you know. And so we went out in the big yard, you know, we were metal detecting around, and I actually found what we thought was the kleptomaniac's stash because I found a ring and some spoons and forks and a whole bunch of stuff by this big tree, you know. But that was pretty cool. But then we got to go underneath the facility where all the pipes and the wires and everything is, and it's dirt floors and stuff like that. So a lot of the escaped crazy people would go underneath. That's how they would escape, but they would live under the facility for like days. So we actually got to go under the facility, you know, with lights and big cameras and stuff like that and light up everything. And it was weird because you would crawl over like a big pipe and there would be like a fork and like chicken bones and like weird stuff in a pile there. That was probably one of the weirdest ones we've done.
That was pretty creepy because there was a lot of those white, really like albino spiders and stuff down there.
Yeah.
I wasn't real happy about crawling through them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
there's only one incident though.
The list could go on we could be talking about this for 2 straight months, all the weird stories and stuff. I'm just trying to think of the creepiest places.
Well, maybe that territorial prison that you had to spend the night on the bloody mattress.
Yeah, that wasn't real pleasant either, was it?
We have an old territorial prison in Montana. I mean, and it was like the early 1800s it was built. Well, it's abandoned now, but they had murders there. They had riots there. The National Guard came in and shot up the place like that. Well, the old solitary confinement, it's just like this big, deep, dark hole with bars in it. Well, Tim and I were metal detecting, and we were finding like shanks in the yard and stuff like that prisoners had hid a long time ago. Well, we had a bet, whoever found the oldest coin, the other one has to spend the night in solitary confinement. There's no power, no nothing in it. It stinks. It stinks. I mean, they smelled like sewer in there. Well, Tim ended up losing that bet. So he's like, I don't really believe in ghosts and stuff, but that still freaks me out. And Tim's like, I'm not worried. So we put him way back in this dark cell, and they shut the cell and they lock him in the cell, and it's pitch dark in there. Well, he's got a mattress, and he flips the mattress over. He thought it'd be cleaner to put his sleeping bag on, and he flipped the mattress over, and there was like a massive blood stain on the mattress, and he's like, man, I'm not sleeping on that. But anyway, we made him sleep on it. Well, we snuck out of there, and at night, it was about 2:00 in the morning, a buddy of mine and some camera guys with night vision, we were going to sneak in there and try to scare him in his cell. Well, we don't have night vision, so it's pitch dark, and we're trying to feel our way through the corridor to get to the cell he's at. And I got about maybe 50 yards from his cell. There was an old metal garbage can there. I tripped over the garbage can, and it goes bang, and I fell down, almost broke my thumb. And then Tim's yelling, "Who's there? What's going on? Who's there?" That was all the ending of one of our shows, and all of our shows ended with something like stupid like that. But we ended up going in there and scaring him a little bit. But then we let him out and let him go home.
Yeah, one of my favorites was during the pilot when you lost, and I had you wear a prom dress and a purple wig, and he had to ride a bicycle off the end of a dock into a lake that was just about ready to freeze.
Yeah, it was so cold. I came out of the water. I couldn't even swear because I couldn't catch my breath.
Yeah, little George had gone to places you didn't think little George could go to.
Right. Yeah.
I've got a question for you, and I don't think anybody would have asked you this before. Have either of you got a secret that you've never told the other one about something to do with one of your shows? Something that's occurred, like, for instance, George, you could have gone up and scared him on purpose that night when he was in the cell without him realizing. You've never told him. Is there anything that you've never told the other one? Come clean.
I'm just trying to think. I mean, if I did, I would say something. But like usually when we do stuff like that, it's like we might keep it a secret for a while, but then we always end up confessing. It's like, yeah, we've
done stuff filming. Like we went to this old ranch in Idaho, and this old cowboy lost a wedding ring, and it was him and his wife had matching wedding rings that the best man had made for him. Well, he was feeding horses and he was throwing the hay over the field. Well, he lost his ring, and he wasn't sure where he lost his ring. He didn't know if he lost it feeding the horses or out in the yard, in the garden. Well, we were filming an Evel Knievel episode in Idaho where he jumped the Snake River Canyon. Well, somebody knew somebody that knew somebody. Well, we ended up at this rancher's house, and we thought that would be a neat little piece to our show if we could find this guy's wedding ring. It'd been lost for like 15 years. So we go out there, and the guy's a proud cowboy. He don't even want us there. You could tell he's kind of embarrassed by everything going on. Well, he goes, well, I went out there, I was feeding horses here, and then I worked in the garden. Well, we looked for about 2 hours where he thought he'd lost his ring. And then Tim kind of went over to this other area, and I stayed in that area, and I was by a metal fence, and it was just me and one camera guy. And I remember I'd going down the fence line, and every once in a while in this one spot, I'd get a little tiny blurb when it was coming off the fence from hitting the metal. And I dug down and I found that guy's gold wedding band. I actually found the wedding band. The only person that knew was me and the camera guy, and then we told the producer. We didn't tell Tim. We didn't tell any of the camera guys. We didn't tell nobody. So we go back, and then he's still mad. Well, we set everything up on the table in there at the end, like on our shows. We would have a big reveal at the end, and Tim found a bunch of toys that his kids played with out in the front yard. You know, we're putting them all out there, and he's like, "Man, that's really cool. That's really cool." You know, and then at the end, like I say, the only person that knows, me and the producer and the camera guy. I reached in my pocket and I pulled that guy's ring out, and I reached across the table and I put it in his hand. I dropped his ring in his hand, and the guy took his breath away. He just went, "Oh!" And the first thing it is, he looked at his wife's finger, and she still had hers on, and he lost it. I mean, he was crying. His wife was crying. Half the crew was crying, and Tim had to walk away. He goes, "I am not crying on TV." And he just
I was so mad because I was like, and then I started to tear up, and I'm just like, I'm not doing this on TV, and I just walked off the set.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lovely story.
Yeah.
Chris Langston said you were
really
both
cool.
stashing tiny plastic rubber chickens. How can you have a plastic rubber chicken? Little skulls and plastic babies in people's bags at detectable on the RCM.
We're famous.
Allegedly, we did that, but I don't know if it's ever been proven.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
Chris Langston probably had it.
Now there were a few babies and chickens that showed up this year. I'm pretty sure there were. We do a thing called the Garrett Prize Patrol, and we look for Garrett users out in the field, and then we'll drive up and we'll give them all kinds of free gear and stuff. And I know there were several people. You know, they would crowd around, and as we were handing out prizes and stuff, little plastic babies and chickens might have fallen into their dig pouches and stuff when they weren't looking. You know, stuff like that.
Cool. Nice question from Will Way. Mr. KG and Mr. Ringmaster, have you ever seen a Bigfoot on your detecting travels? I know you both spend a lot of time in the wild.
I actually got an autograph from Bigfoot, and we gave it to Gary Cook. Remember?
Yeah,
I don't know
did.
if he showed you that. No, I don't believe in Bigfoot. If there was a Bigfoot, I would have seen him by now. At least I would have seen his footprints.
You know what we do believe in is bears. We're obviously from Montana there, and there's been many times we've been out. I remember distinctly on, I don't know, was it 10 Mile Road, the story I'm going to tell, KG? We were on 10 Mile Road, and we were down by this old cabin, and I had gone down near the creek, which has covered by trees, and KG's still up near these ranches or whatever, and so I just heard some noise, and I knew it wasn't him, and I heard the noise in the trees, and I kept looking over there and thinking, what the heck, you know, and then I go back to detecting, and then we were all said and done, and we jumped back in his old pickup, your old one you used to have, and we started heading over the bridge that crossed that creek, and we kept going, and there's a giant freaking bear standing right in the middle of the road, and I know that bear was right next to me that whole time, you know, and then
we
get badges.
We always carry weapons with us, like handguns and stuff. But we always metal detect in Montana. Literally, we got into the habit of metal detecting with only one earphone over, so we could hear what was going on around us because of all the mountain lions and wolves and bears up there. So, I mean, we've had a couple close calls, but nothing real serious.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Pretty close ones, Cage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Metal detecting with handguns. I couldn't think of anything better.
It froze up.
Oh, yeah, no, that's because how cool would that be?
I'm just listening intently. I mean, we've got 4 minutes left of the show, but this is one of them shows that we could just chat for hours, really, because there's just so many stories that you can tell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've got multiple bear and mountain lion stories where, I mean, we were like this close from having some serious damage happen. So sometime have us back on, and we'll tell you some of those stories too.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Anytime, you know that. I don't even need to bully you. So I'm just going to make the screen big for one moment for Adrian purposes.
Yep. So if you're watching it on your phone, just Google Digging TV. But otherwise, if you're watching it on your laptop or your iPad and you're sitting there looking at eBay or Amazon, close the screen, scan that, and you can watch a lot more of what you've seen tonight, and highly recommend it. These guys are great storytellers. and lovely to listen to. And it's been a pleasure having you on tonight. I get
Thank you,
lost
guys.
on some shows. Some shows, Dave, you do as well, don't you? We
Yeah.
forget we're actually in the show. We think we're watching something on YouTube. And I was like that a lot tonight. I was like, just about to pick my nose, and then I realised I'm like in front of 6 people in the world, or how many are watching. But no, it's been great to have you on. Definitely.
Thank you.
I'm gonna. I was asked to ask a question an hour and a half ago by Graham Dempsey. So we get there.
Uh-oh.
So I got that question, which is, in fact, I'll ask the other question first. Anaconda Treasure, Team Anaconda Treasure. Am I right in saying that's the way to say
right? anacondatreasure.com. Yeah.
So briefly tell us what that is.
Oh, well, George was born and raised in a little town called Anaconda, Montana, and that's where I lived for 14 years, and that's where we met. So our company became Anaconda Treasure Company.
Got you.
And you can still go to anacondatreasure.com and get on our site. But if you go to digintv.com, there's links to that and everything else, like the TV show and everything. But digintv.com, if you go there, you can still see all the newer worldwide TV shows for free. You don't have to sign up for anything. After they aired on TV, we just stuck them on our YouTube channel for free for everybody. So go enjoy them if you haven't seen them. There's 20 some of those. And then the original Nat Geo program is still on like Amazon Prime, and I'm sure you have to buy it or whatever.
I think it's iTunes. I think iTunes has it too. But
so,
or you can just go to Amazon and buy the DVD on Amazon or whatever. But I don't even have all the DVDs. I have to pay for them.
Yeah. I'm sure we can do some.
The thing is, though, Tim actually runs them off, and you buy them off Tim.
Yeah.
He's I didn't hear. What was that?
I said, George, you run the DVDs off, and George buys them off you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he probably does.
I think Tim's got a Betamax twin cassette tape to tape, and he's copying them now behind us.
I do. That's behind me, the whole Betamax setup. Yeah.
Betamax. Yeah, and I see the fax machine as well.
Yes. Yeah. I'm always faxing him all our orders. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Dave, we've been asked to spin the disc, but we haven't got time, have we?
We haven't, and I'm just going to go back to you big again, Adrian, because somebody said they didn't get the thing in time.
Well, you can just Google it and it will come up.
Marvelous.
Yeah, if you guys
anyway,
want us to do anything, if you guys ever need us to do anything on our websites and stuff too, you had a special show or something you want us to, to get out there for you guys too, just let us know.
Oh, we'd appreciate that greatly. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. The question from Graham Dempsey was, can you ask the guys what was their best found coin and artifact in the UK?
Ever, or just this last trip?
Ever. Nothing.
Man, go ahead, Tim, because
you want me?
You found a lot better stuff.
Answers already. So, mine was the I guess coin. I found a 50 BC full gold stater, so I'd say that's okay.
That's a good call. Yeah.
I think mine is probably mine is the Saxon penny. Probably the Saxon penny I found.
Yeah. Beautiful
silver
Saxon
penny.
Yeah. And the funny thing is we were hunting with this awesome group of dudes, the pirates over there, and a couple of them, some of them had found Saxon pennies, but one of them in particular had never found a Saxon penny. And I found a cut half Saxon penny, and within 2 days, KG found a full perfect one, and he was about ready to strangle us both, So that was But I'd say my artifact then would be my gold ring from 1744, the morning ring that became part of one of the TV shows, the Golden Ring episode. That's the only hour-long one because there was so much history behind the ring. It ended up being there's that famous painting of the guy fighting Napoleon. It was his grandmother's mourning ring. So
Wow.
that was kind of my favorite all-time find, really. So
There's some good finds considering you don't even live here. You've got some detectorists who've been detecting for 30 years. Lucky to find a hammered. But no, that's interesting. Really good.
Yeah.
Well,
You all right, Dave?
gentlemen, it's been, yes, I was just responding to one of these thingies because we haven't got time to ask. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. It was brilliant seeing you back in September at both of the events. I'm glad you had a great time over here because it wasn't just the two events you were at. You were, detecting the entire time you were there. Kindly escorted round by Mr. Smith, which I'm sure was nice. Do you know he went to Turkey to have his teeth made that white?
Oh, they're so beautiful, aren't they?
Aren't they?
I can't take my eyes off them.
Oh,
It's
the man.
Yeah, you can't
I've ever
lose him
seen.
at night. You can't lose him
Yeah.
at night. Say, smile, Gary, I lost my keys.
Back before he had his girlfriend, we were with somebody else on some field. This is a couple of years ago after he had just had them done. And he was talking about how he got this date and he was going to go on a date coming up. And this guy, this English dude, I can't do his accent, but he goes, "It's those shiny teeth what done it."
Probably right.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Right.
Nice one.
Well, anyway, KG Ringy, thank you very much for coming on the show. I love speaking to you when I see you at the events. I wish we lived closer. I'd love to spend more time with you and listen to your stories over lots and lots of Budweiser, even though that's like weak as anything over here. But I'm sure you could introduce us to proper American drinks.
Oh,
Yes,
sure.
there's other things we can drink. Yeah. For
Sure.
So, Ryan Reynolds is in the chat. I'm sure that's not the one I think it
Ryan
is.
Reynolds. Yeah.
Must be. The Ryan Reynolds watches the show. Screenshot that, Adrian, and we'll put that right out. And who else have we got? Somebody else with a name that's the same as somebody who's famous as well. Well, just there you go. Keep taking it, and then this person watches the show. Right. Again, thank you both exceptionally much. It's been great. Good luck in the Netherlands and all the other stuff that you've got going on this year. And we look forward to seeing you again next year. Don't forget, everyone, next week we've got Gary Cook and John Little coming on just to give you a brief update. So with Gary's coming on, that's going to be about, the length of this show, really. But they've got to come and give us tell us first how much has been raised at the Rodney Cook this year. So we're greatly looking forward to that. And we'll also be joined by Greg from Spinks, who I think he was on this time last year, and it was a fantastic show, Adrian.
Yes, he was. I wasn't here. I was in Cyprus. I apologise.
Oh, yes. No, you were in Cyprus when you were... Well, you were in Cyprus again?
Yeah, I was second week in Cyprus.
Not you went when you were drunk in Cyprus?
The week after he was on, when I was drunk jumping in the pool. Yeah, but enough of that. But thanks, guys, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Dave, Adrian, we appreciate you guys, too.
Excellent. Same time, same place next week, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Good luck if you're out detecting, and we will see you soon. Good night, everyone.